What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so Democrats are just so predictable, and they're so obvious with their grifting, if you will. They're trying to score political brownie points. I love it, folks. I predicted this the other day. I was talking about, if SNAP runs out, Democrats, they're going to come up with a 11th hour plan, and they're going to put it to a vote to save the SNAP benefits for their constituency. And it's fascinating, folks, that they have actually done what I said they were going to do. It is very fascinating. Check this out, y'all.
Where are the Republicans? As people are losing their health care and have huge pain and pits in their stomach about what to do about it, where kids are not getting fed, Trump's out of the country, House Republicans are out on vacation, Senate Republicans are out to lunch. And every day the shutdown drags on, the pain is deeper. So it's time for Republicans to get serious about ending the shutdown. So today, Democrats will introduce a bill that would extend the SNAP funding and WIC to make sure no child goes hungry, no family goes without food, no lapse will happen. And it will get broad, if not universal, support in our caucus, and we will try to get it passed on the floor. We will try to get it passed on the floor. Bottom line, it's time for Republicans to start getting serious about ending this shutdown before families lose their health care, their food, and their faith that the president, that leaders will deliver for them.
What a pathetic man. What a pathetic man. Look at this, folks. Yes, Senate Democrats have voted to keep the government shut down 13 times. That's more times than I can count on both of my hands. As a matter of fact, I have to do this to count that many times as Democrats have voted to keep the government shut down. All because they want their health care for their criminal aliens. That's what they want, folks. All of that was political nonsense. That was lying to their constituency. Chuck Schumer is the worst, as a matter of fact. As a matter of fact, he is the worst. This dude is playing so many political games right now. Once again, coming up in the 11th hour. I'm going to put forth some legislation to keep this in, and I'm sure it's filled with poison pills. As a matter of fact, there's always a poison pill anytime Democrats bring in. Well, Republicans do it a lot too, to be honest with you. Both sides do it. So, but Democrats do it a lot more. We'll put it that way. I'm going to be very partisan with my hackery. There you go. It's insane, y'all. Like, they're going to put forward this plan. Why not just vote to open the government up and then work out all this healthcare nonsense later? Because guess what, folks? Democrats are the ones that put this very subsidy that is about to expire. They are the ones that wrote up this legislation to expire. Guess when? 2026. That's when it expires. They wrote this up. They voted this into fruition, for goodness sakes. And now they are banging their face against the wall, throwing up all over themselves and rolling around on the floor in it because it's about to expire. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You guys are the ones that voted this into place. And now that it's going to expire next year in 2026, y'all. In 2026, late 2026. So they have plenty of time to negotiate these subsidies. They have plenty of time to negotiate this. But they want to do it now, while the government is shut down. Once again, folks, like I've always said, this shutdown is intentional. It's on purpose, right? Democrats are like, hang on, if we shut the government down, we can blame it on Republicans. And Republicans are over here like, if the government's shut down, that means we can furlough a lot of federal workers. But hang on just a second. The narrative is shifting. The narrative is not with the Democrats anymore. When you have Chuck Schumer getting on the House floor saying that the New York Times is biased against Democrats because of a poll that came out that blames Democrats for the shutdown. Oh, that's very fascinating. Don't you guys think? Yeah, let me know down in the comments section, because I find it to be very fascinating. And, you know, Chuck Schumer, like I always say, is the absolute worst. Yeah, let's get into the news, though, folks. Check this out. Judge questions the Trump administration's plan to suspend SNAP benefits for millions. Now, look, I'm not going to lie. When I read through this news article, I saw the headline and I'm like, how much more biased can they get? They are trying to pretend like, if you were to interpret that right there, judge questions the Trump administration's plan, as if they plan for SNAP benefits to expire, essentially, for them to cut off SNAP benefits on purpose. That's what that is telling you, right? You've always got to look at the language that they use and, you know, subliminal messaging, because that's what that says. They're not telling you that it's due to the government shutdown that SNAP benefits are going away, blah, blah, blah. No, it's Trump planned for this. This is how biased our media is, folks. It's very, very biased. But, you know, once again, I've got to take it back, because the news article itself is structured halfway decently. Seriously, like they wait to give you all the very partisan hackery nonsense all the way in the back. Let's get into this. A federal judge in Boston on Thursday seemed skeptical of the Trump administration's argument that SNAP benefits could be suspended for the first time in the food aid program's history because of the government shutdown. Once again, that just goes completely against that headline. They were saying it's the Trump administration's plan, and now they're saying, oh, well, it's due to the shutdown. Yes, it's due to the shutdown, of course. During a hearing over a request by 25 Democratic-led states to keep the funding flowing, U.S. District Judge Indira Talwani told lawyers that if the government can't afford to cover the costs, there's a process to follow rather than simply suspending all benefits. Yeah, and what is that process if the funds are gone? Yeah, it's called Congress, lady. That's what that process is, by the way. These judges are insane, to be honest. The steps involve finding an equitable way of reducing benefits, said Talwani, who was nominated to the court by then President Barack Obama. There's an equitable way? What does that mean, lady? Seriously, think about how that would work itself out. An equitable way. What do you mean by that? Because it is as simple as Democrats going in voting to open the government back up. It's as simple as that. I don't see any equity in that. What do you mean equitable way? Like these people with their language, folks. Nobody knows what that means, to be honest with you, because if you think, once again, if you sit back and think about that process for just a second, it doesn't make much sense, does it? No, it doesn't. If you don't have the money, you tighten your belt, she said in court. You are not going to make everyone drop dead because it's a political game someplace. Once again, this sounds more like an activist, don't it? Sounds exactly like an activist, if you ask me. What do you mean by political games? Because once again, Democrats are the ones playing the games here. It's the Democrats that for 13 times have voted to keep the government shut down and did not vote to keep the government open when it was open. They voted to shut it down and have voted 13 times in a row to keep it shut down. That's the political game being played. But this judge is trying to pretend that it's Trump doing this. And honestly, the Associated Press is not doing a bad job, to be fair, because they said it right at the beginning. It's due to the government shutdown. And we know that Democrats, once again, have voted 13 times to keep the government shut down. Talwani acknowledged that even ordering emergency funds to pay for SNAP might still be painful for some SNAP recipients because it could mean they get less money and that the money they do get could be delayed. We are dealing with a reality that absent a 100% win for you, the benefits aren't going to be there on November 1st, she told plaintiffs. That's right, folks. That's not tomorrow, but the next day. The hearing came 2 days before U.S. Department of Agriculture planned to freeze payments to the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program because it said it can't continue funding it due to the shutdown. See, once again, they don't plan on not issuing all these benefits to everybody. That's not a plan of the U.S. the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Sorry. That's not a plan for them. The government is shut down. That means the money tap got turned off. That's what that means. Nobody planned for this, except for maybe Democrats, because it sure is looking like this is exactly what Democrats planned to do. They're doing everything they can to make the Trump administration look like the evil villains here. And now, once again, in the 11th hour, Democrats are coming up with a plan to save your SNAP benefits. We're the heroes. We're the white saviors come on a white horse from our white ivory tower over here to save all the minorities and all the low-income families out there. That's fascinating, don't you think? It's meaningless, folks. That is exactly what that is. It's meaningless. Other lawsuits have been filed over the program's suspension, including one filed Thursday in Rhode Island by a coalition of 8 cities and community businesses. I don't get why they put a comma in between community businesses. Wouldn't it be 8 cities and communities, business and union organizations? Maybe it's a typo. Oops. SNAP, which costs about $8 billion per month, serves about 1 in 8 Americans and is a major piece of the nation's social safety net. Word in October that it would be a November 1st casualty of the shutdown sent states, food banks, and SNAP recipients scrambling to figure out how to secure food. Some states said they would spend their own funds to keep versions of the program going. President Donald Trump's administration said it was allowed to use a contingency. It wasn't allowed to use a contingency fund with about $5 billion in it for the program, which reversed a USDA plan from before the shutdown that said that money would be tapped to keep SNAP running. Now, once again, folks, like I talked about the other day when I covered the lawsuit suing to get that contingency fund put into place. Okay, that contingency fund isn't enough money to fund the full benefits anyway. And it's a contingency fund for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's not meant for SNAP. It's not emergency funds for SNAP. That's not what that's meant for. But it's not going to be enough anyway. You can't force the government to use that on SNAP benefits, which is entitlements, right? Like, that's going to be the first thing to go is entitlements, just right off the top, because it's not necessary. Sure, some people do rely on SNAP benefits, but it's not necessary. I'm sorry. If you cannot survive without an entitlement, then how about you do something to survive without entitlements? Like I always talk about, I would be embarrassed myself, to be honest with you, if I had food stamps. I would be embarrassed. I've never even thought to go, let me go see if I can get a government handout. I mean, don't people have honor anymore? Don't people have self-respect? Get out there. I've been days and days and days without food. I was homeless for a while. For like 6 months. No job, no house, nobody to go to. These people, they're going to rob grocery stores and stuff. Like, what? Anyway, they're insane is all I could say. The Democratic-led states argued that not only could that contingency money be used, it must be. They also said a separate fund with around $23 billion could be tapped. Now, I couldn't find any evidence for any of this. They were talking about some plan. They were going to use contingency funds to keep SNAP benefits for November. I could not find any evidence of that. I'm not saying it didn't exist. I'm just saying I could not confirm what the corporate press is saying right here. That $23 billion could be tapped. I can't confirm that either, folks. So, Take that with a grain of salt. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I could not find any evidence that that $23 billion exists that the USDA could tap to fund SNAP. Although the states requested the funding continue only in their jurisdictions, the judges indicated that any ruling would apply nationwide, saying it wouldn't be fair to treat recipients differently depending on which state they live in. A ruling that would apply everywhere could defy the intentions of the U.S. Supreme Court, which has limited the use of nationwide injunctions, though it hasn't prohibited them. Yeah, that is right, folks. That is right. So we have some issues going on, and I just wanted to put that little update together just to give you guys some of the information on that and to show how Chuck Schumer is just being, an utter political hack, I guess you could call it a scumbag, whatever it is, coming up with this in the 11th hour. I doubt it's even real legislation. He probably just did a press tour and said, the corporate press is going to air what I say. Just for political brownie points. That's all that's about, folks. That is all that is about. If they truly cared about any of this, they would vote to open the government back up. Like, once again, he doesn't need to write up legislation and put it to a vote on the Senate floor to get anything done, because this is why that doesn't make any sense. Because he would have to put it to a vote, right? Remember now, the SNAP benefits are going to expire. They're not going to get any. It's not going to be renewed on November 1st. So he would have to put this to the floor. They would have to vote on this. Then guess what, folks? This is why it's BS. Because then it would have to go to the House of Representatives, and then they would have to vote on it as well, and they're on recess right now. So, yeah, and then it would have to be approved by Donald Trump or whatever, You know how the process works. But that's how that would have to play out. That's why I say he's just being a political hack right now. He's just trying to score political brownie points. That's all he's trying to do. He's trying to telegraph, because most people won't think about that. Hey, this is going to, not only Republicans are going to have to vote for this. This is another one of those things that Chuck Schumer is going to try to use on the campaign trail to say, look, Republicans did not vote to keep your benefits, your entitlement programs. They voted against your entitlement programs. That's what that is. And I'm sure this legislation has some sort of poison pill, like, getting the government to pay for gender-affirming care or something like that also, right? Or criminal alien health care or something like that tied into this that will make sure Republicans won't vote for it, just so they can use it, just so they can weaponize legislation. You ever heard of that, folks? Yeah, that's what politicians are doing these days. They're weaponizing legislation, so they can, score hits on their political enemies, if you will. It's fascinating, y'all. But y'all let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. It blows my mind every single day. Every single day. But y'all let me know. Y'all don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and all over the place all at the same time. If you could, that'd be great. Click the join button. Sign up and become a member. That's the best way to help this channel expand and grow. And you guys remember that God has a plan for everybody. He loves each and every one of you out there. So you guys try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.